For most religions, followers have that must-see location to visit once in their lives. Muslims visit Mecca, Buddhists have Lumbini, and Hindus have 7 holy cities that they can visit. But for Christians, well, the answer isn't so clear. Those hoping to visit Jerusalem, wanting to see the tomb of Christ, may be surprised to learn that he is supposed to have laid in not 1, but 3 different sites. The exact spot where Jesus is said to have been buried has been debated for hundreds of years. In hopes that the location hasn't been lost to time, in this episode, we're asking the question: where exactly is Jesus' tomb? The first site takes us to the Talpiot family tomb, unearthed on March 28, 1980, by construction workers. The tomb is situated 5 kilometers south of Jerusalem's Old City. The tomb is said to have belonged to an affluent middle-class family during the 1st century, with carbon dating placing the tomb as having been constructed during the Second Temple period, 538 to 515 BCE. Inside the tomb were 10 different ossuaries. Ossuaries, for those who don't know, are also known as bone houses and were created specifically to hold human skeletal remains after death. They might take the form of a chest, box, building, well, cave, or other structure. Ossuaries were a common practice among the Jewish population as early as 40 BCE. Ossuaries have been historically utilized in places with limited burial space or in situations where a lot of people died quickly, such as a pandemic or battle. The skeleton remains of the deceased would first be taken and deposited in an ossuary, after being initially buried in a temporary cemetery. Inscribed on the ossuaries located in the Talpiot tomb were names like Jesus, Mary, and Joseph. One of the ossuaries also held the name Mary Mean, which people believe houses the bones of Mary Magdalene, who is alleged to have married and borne a child to Jesus. In 2007, Simcha Yakubovich released a documentary titled The Lost Tomb of Jesus, where he pored over the evidence that led him to the conclusion that this is indeed Christ's tomb. The documentary lent weight to DNA testing that had been done on the remains in the ossuaries. Filmmakers found that all the male ossuaries were related, but Mary Means was not, leading them to conclude that she was the wife of someone in the tomb, that someone being Jesus. Another ossuary was marked with the name Jude, son of Jesus, leaving speculation that Jesus had a child up for debate. Another ossuary, the infamous James Ossuary, was also linked to the Talpiot tomb. Revealed to the public in 2002, the ossuary was said to have been found in the Silwan area in the Kidron Valley, southeast of the Temple Mount. Filmmakers of The Lost Tomb of Jesus alleged that the ossuary had originated from the Talpiot tomb, as both were described to share a chemical fingerprint with identical small quantities of phosphorus, chromium, and nickel found in the clay of East Jerusalem soil. And get this, it's inscribed, Jesus, son of Joseph. Though this isn't as cut and dry as you may hope to believe, skeptics who do not believe that this is the final resting place of Jesus Christ have spoken out saying that the ossuaries could have simply belonged to anyone, owing to the fact that the names inscribed were common in that era and that area. The Talpiot family tomb proponents have also been unable to fully address the theory's most glaring problem. Given that Jesus' family originated in Galilee, why would they establish a family tomb there? According to archaeologist Jody Magnus, only affluent families interred their loved ones' remains in ossuaries, as part of the secondary burial tradition around the time of Jesus. An ordinary grave would have been used by a poor Galilean family. Additionally, according to Magnus, the names on the ossuaries in the Talpiot tomb show that the tomb belonged to a family from Judea, where people are known by their first name and their father's name, as opposed to Galileans, who would have used their first name and hometown. So, if not the Talpiot tomb, where? Well, don't worry. We still have a few more rabbit holes, or tombs, to dive into. Discovered in 1867, the Garden Tomb is located just outside of Jerusalem, standing close to Damascus Gate and Skull Hill, where Jesus is said to have died. German academic Otto Thenius first proposed the garden as the location of Christ's burial in 1842. He thought that Christ was crucified atop the hill of Golgotha, upon the skull-faced cliff, overlooking the garden. The rock-hewn grave was located nearby in 1867. This all made sense in light of the biblical allusion to the proximity of Christ's burial cave to the site of his crucifixion. Several additional academics supported the new tomb site in the 1800s, including British Major General Charles Gordon. Gordon visited Jerusalem and agreed that Christ was crucified on a cliff. Gordon's cavalry acquired the name of the cliff. The Garden Tomb Association purchased the land in 1894 with the intention of keeping it as a pilgrimage site. The garden and tomb are maintained by volunteers who travel from all over the world. Evangelical Anglicans, Protestants, and members of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints are the leading visitors to the tomb. The Garden Tomb is an Iron Age tomb from the 7th or 8th century BC, according to archaeologist Gabriel Barkay, who has investigated the tomb complex where it is located. However, just under 3 kilometers away lies the Church of the Holy Sepulchre, which contains the location with the oldest evidence that this is the final resting place of Jesus Christ. Many scholars believe this to be the place where Jesus' tomb lies. Traditional reports place the construction of the church itself in the 4th century CE. Constantine the Great, the Roman emperor who legalized Christianity, had his mother Helena search for Jesus' tomb in Jerusalem. According to legend, Mary discovered the true cross where Jesus was crucified, close to a tomb on the site of a pagan temple, possibly devoted to Venus or Jupiter. A rock-cut tomb that was thought to be the tomb of Jesus Christ was discovered beneath the destroyed temple. The Church of the Holy Sepulchre, which was originally known as the Church of Anastasis and meant resurrections, was later constructed over the location and dedicated in 335. The church has experienced numerous damages and destructions over the years, including those caused by earthquakes. The Church of the Holy Sepulchre was burned down by the Sassanid Empire, which was the Persian Empire at the time, in 1614. It was restored 16 years later. The Church of the Holy Sepulchre was ordered to be destroyed by the Fatimid Caliphate in 1009. However, this wasn't done so much to target the church directly, as it was to attack Jewish and Christian holy places and places of worship all throughout the area. Later, it was rebuilt and redecorated. The ruins of the old tomb are now surrounded by a shrine called the Edicule. For the first time in about 500 years, the limestone slab that covered the burial bed of the tomb was taken off during renovations in 2016 to clean and structurally strengthen the Edicule. The building date of the structure is in the mid-4th century, and the reconstruction of the Crusader Chapel from the Middle Ages were both validated by mortar samples taken during the tomb's opening. Optical stimulated luminescence, a method that determines the last time the quartz sediment was exposed to light, was used to date the mortar. 2 different labs separately carried out the testing. These tests supported the site's long-standing recorded history. There is some proof that the tomb itself is the right location. Jesus was reportedly crucified outside of Jerusalem's walls and buried there, according to the New Testament. There are explanations for this since ancient funerals were almost always performed outside the city. The Church of the Holy Sepulchre would have been outside the old city of Jerusalem's walls during Jesus' lifetime, because they didn't reach as far as they do now. Archaeological evidence has also shown that the second wall around the church was constructed later, supporting this. We may not be 100% confident that the location of the Holy Sepulchre Church is where Jesus was laid to rest, but there is no other location that can make a claim quite as significant, and there is virtually little reason to doubt the legitimacy of the location. So what do you think? Was one of these places really where Jesus of Nazareth was laid to rest? Let me know in the comments.